The Pacers found out Monday that Halliburton will miss all of next season. Halliburton tore his right Achilles tendon in the first quarter of Game 7 in the NBA Finals on June 22nd. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you. 1, 2, 3, yeah. I'm gonna try to keep it coming. But I'll be alright as long as I can find the good. Yes, I will. Yeah. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. Yes, I will. I'm just happy to see you talk to me back in style.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me. Back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavismiley.com. That's thetavismiley.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, Calvin Duncan and Sophie Cole, co-authors of the book The Jailhouse Lawyer, share the inspiring story of how Calvin Duncan freed himself from prison for a murder he did not commit. The book drops today, and you will hear from Calvin Duncan today in Hour 2. We will also speak with LA Mayor Karen Bass today in Hour 2.
I am going to say.
Mayor Bass, I need to get my phone and we're departing.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor Bass. Aaron Bass.
Mayor Bass.
Any comment, Mayor Bass?
Thank you.
Mayor Bass, any comment?
Yes, my comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable.
Who did you speak with?
Just wait and see.
Mayor Bass,
They will be leaving soon.
Mayor Bass, who did you speak with on the phone just now? Who did you speak with on the phone?
They had a pistol.
Wow.
It was a little hectic, but that was sound of Mayor Bass yesterday as federal agents conducted yet another federal immigration sweep, this one at MacArthur Park near downtown Los Angeles. Mayor Bass will join us live today on the backside of Hour 2 to explain what actually happened yesterday at MacArthur Park. In our third hour, Carnegie University professor Dr. Etta Fields Black is back to tell us what it feels like to be the winner of the 2025 Pulitzer Prize in History for her best-selling book, Combahee, Harriet Tubman, the Combahee River Raid, and the Black freedom struggle during the Civil War. We had an amazing conversation when her book first published, and I look forward to celebrating her in hour 3 today. If you missed our first conversation, do yourself a favor and stick around for Dr. Etta Fields Black today in hour 3. There is a reason she is the winner of the Pulitzer Prize this year in history for this best-selling book. Once again, it's called Combahee, Harriet Tubman, the Combahee River Raid, and Black freedom during the Civil War. Should be a great third and final hour today. But in this first hour, 2 more conversations on the B side of this hour. Why would or why should black folk in the United States care about the man who would be king, Mohammed bin Salman, and the transformation of Saudi Arabia? Well, speaking of Pulitzer Prize winners, The Man Who Would Be King is actually the title of the new book by Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter, editor, and former publisher of the Wall Street Journal, Elliot House. Since she wrote the book, I'll let Karen explain the why we should care question. But I'll tell you that Saudi Arabia recently pledged $25 billion in investment with African nations as part of a broader strategy to strengthen development and economic partnerships with the continent. So we'll talk about why we should care about the man who would be king in Saudi Arabia. We'll do that on the backside of this hour. We commence today's show with Dr. Algernon Austin, Director of Race and Justice at the Center for Economic and Policy Research. Dr. Austin, how are you today, sir?
I am doing quite well. It's great to talk to you again.
It's good to have you back on this program. So I've been working over the last couple of days. This big beautiful bill, as Donald Trump calls it, is like thousands of pages. I took the time over the last weekend to try to read as much of this as I could. And what is abundant?
You're a brave man.
Yeah, brave, crazy, or stupid. You pick your term. But I spent some time trying to delve into it this weekend to make sure I was clear as I speak to this audience every day about what's in it and what's not in it. And I made some, offered some commentary about it yesterday, but I'm spending a couple of days on this program this week to make sure that this audience certainly understands what's in this bill as it relates specifically to African Americans. And my read of this is that this bill in so many ways jeopardizes a lifeline for black Americans, lifelines that many of us will not survive, frankly. If they are stripped away, and clearly this bill intends to do just that. Now, I said yesterday on this program that one of the slick things that they did, Republicans that is, in this bill, is to make the tax cuts effective like immediately. The minute Donald Trump signed it, the tax cuts went into effect. But the real pain in this bill for African Americans and others, certainly the poor, won't kick in until after the midterm, so they're slick in the way they roll out this pain. But what's your sense broadly? But let me just, I'm looking at my clock now, it's not going to be fair. Let me just tell you where I want to start when we come forward. I want to get your broad sense as one who studies this stuff better than I do, and certainly more in depth than I do. Get your sense of how this bill specifically is going to impact African Americans in the weeks and months and years to come. We'll start there and jump from there when we come forward with Algernon Austin on Tavis, Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hey man, hey, what's up, bro? What's the station you listening to? Oh man, you don't know? That's Talk Radio, KBLA, 1580 AM. Check it out. 1580 KBLA AM. 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary, and this track right here is the gift one of our devoted listeners presented to us.
Where you get some information, get a true education to know. Ooh, yeah. 1580.
How cool is that? Having a member of our KBLA delegation write us a song. Stop it! Our listeners love us and there ain't nothing we can do about it. Wouldn't want to. Thanks to Cardell and everybody else for turning on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you right black.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Dr. Algernon Austin, Director of Race and Economic Justice at the Center for Economic and Policy Research. All right, Doc, just give me your broad understanding of how this big ugly bill is going to impact black folk in particular in the coming days.
It is, it's hard to imagine a worse bill for, not just for black people, but for the American middle class, working people. This bill, I guess let's start off with estimates from the Yale Budget Lab. And they find that people people in not the top 1%, but the top 1/10 of 1%, they are due to get over $100,000 to benefit from this bill. But if you're in the bottom 20%, the overall change is you're going to lose money. You're going to lose almost $600 a year. So think about that. We're giving multimillionaires and billionaires saying, hey, you're not rich enough. Let's give you another $100,000 or more. And then they turn around and they say, look, you're the poorest 20% of Americans. You need to fork over another $600. It's just absurd. Mm-hmm. It is absurd. So the bottom 20%, and of course the black population is disproportionately lower income, as everyone knows. So the bottom 20% is losing almost $600. The next highest 20% is they're quote unquote lucky because they're only losing about $10. Mm-hmm. So the bottom 40% of all Americans, which is, more, probably the bottom 50 or 60% of black people, are going to be losing income from this bill. The multimillionaires and multi-billionaires are going to make a lot of money. And the transfers is only part of it, right? Because this bill is, we're taking on a massive amount of debt. But a lot of that debt is to these multimillionaires and multi-billionaires. So we're giving them on both sides. Mm-hmm. We're saying we're going into debt to give them $100,000, but they own the debt. So then when we pay interest on, when we pay back these loans and when we pay interest on the loan, we're again giving money to the multimillionaires and the billionaires. Mm-hmm. So, I have to say, the people, the Trump administration is in line. Their administration has had more billionaires in the administration than any other administration in U.S. history. So I think of this as the one big billionaire bill, because the super wealthy are just getting, left and right. They're getting money thrown at them. So they've gotten if they supported the Trump campaign, they're getting a great return on their investment. The rest of America, however, is going to be devastated, because not only are we seeing, these tax policies and cuts to, making it more difficult for people to get relief from student loans, for example, making it more difficult for people to get health care in a number of ways, with massive Medicare cuts. That's also disproportionately going to hurt low-income black households. It's just going to be devastating for the bottom half in terms of income of the country.
Let me pivot for just a second. I started by asking a question about how this is specifically going to impact African Americans, and Dr. Austin has answered that question, or is answering that question. I'm not quite done with that. But let me pivot for just a second. If you've been watching the news, as I know many of my audience do, you've been seeing the White House fight these claims that cuts to the National Weather Service hurt the Texas flood response. So when Dr. Austin says these cuts in the years to come are going to hurt more than just black folk, he's right about this. And the White House can fight it all they want. But the more you read about what happened to these precious babies in Texas, and I've got all kind of commentary about that I ain't even had a chance to get to the last couple of days. But let me just start with this. When you cut the National Weather Service, when you appoint a FEMA director who doesn't even know that we have something called a hurricane season, and that's the guy that's running FEMA, and you keep talking consistently about doing away with FEMA, and the FEMA office in Texas is basically empty, and you continue to deny the science that is climate change and global warming that's bringing on these floods more and more and more, and you get what you got in Texas over the weekend, where these precious babies' lives are lost. The count now is over 100. And then because it's a red state, you don't treat it like you treat California, a blue state. Took you a long time to get here after the wildfires. You still haven't gone to Altadena 6 months later. But because it's Texas, you tell them whatever they need, the government will provide. And then you arrange to get to Texas as quickly as you can, including tomorrow or by Friday, we are told, you'll be in Texas to walk through the devastation there. My point, I think you've already picked up on, that not only is Donald Trump playing politics with emergencies, national emergencies, playing politics with these crises, deciding who he wants to give federal aid to, who he wants to withhold federal funds from. That's again just sickening on its face. But then again, you keep denying the science. You don't provide the funds. And right now, the White House is being insulated by these Republicans in Texas for the blame they ought to bear for cutting these budgets. I digress on that for now. I just want to just pivot on that because, again, the last 48 hours, they've been pushing back really hard. I've got some sound, if I had time to play it, from his press secretary, where she's taking on the chin, Caroline Leavitt, doing her best to push back on these cuts that might have impacted what happened in Texas, or certainly might have impacted the recovery of these white babies. It reminds me of what happened when they killed those white babies at that Sandy Hook. Remember Sandy Hook years ago? I said then, if white America doesn't care about gun violence now, they never will. Because if you kill a bunch of white babies, that ain't the same as killing a bunch of black babies or a bunch of brown babies in Uvalde. It's a very different conversation. And I knew then that the conversation about gun violence was never, I don't want to say never because I don't want to suggest it's intractable, but I knew it'd be a long time, if ever, before we took a gun violence conversation seriously in this country when they let those white babies get killed, murdered in Sandy Hook, and they still wouldn't hold the gun lobby accountable. I knew then this country was in trouble for real when it came to gun violence. So here we are now with this big, ugly bill And the irony of the timing of this, Donald Trump trying to defend his administration from all these assaults and attacks, legitimate, I think, about these cuts and the damage that's going to happen in the months and years to come. Again, I'll put a pin in that for now. Back to you, Dr. Austin. I don't want to make you political in that regard, but I just wanted to make the connection that you were right about the fact that this bill is going to hurt people of color and poor people in a variety of ways. And we could talk, if we had the time, about, again, the Medicaid cuts, the food assistance cuts, the student loan cuts, the clean energy cuts, the national debt you just raised. So let me just ask you this. There's been much conversation, I've had it here on this program myself, about how this bill adds, 3 trillion, 3.5 trillion, 3.9 trillion, somewhere in the $3 to $4 trillion category, depending on the numbers you read. Why does that really matter? Because Donald Trump, let's be honest, isn't the first president to add, more money to the national debt. But why does it matter that that number keeps climbing?
Well, first, let's look at the recent increase. The recent increase, we had a global pandemic. People were out of jobs, and there was a need for emergency relief. There was a need for additional spending to keep people afloat when they weren't working, and also to invest in resources to fight the pandemic. So it was like, there's a crisis, we spend to address the crisis. Right now, there is no crisis. Unless you think that billionaires don't have enough money and they need an extra $100,000. There is no crisis. So that's the first absurdity or obscenity in this bill, is that not only are you massively increasing the debt, but you're doing it for no good reason. And, there's a question. Yes, I think in the past, we've made too much about the debt, but this is such a large increase. There's a question of whether it's going to make it increase interest rates. Whether the government is actually the borrowing from the government will then make it harder for average Americans to be able to afford a mortgage, because the interest rates are going up. Because there's so much, the government is borrowing so much money. So it does have, the third thing is that Trump is pursuing all these awful economic policies. If you notice, the black unemployment rate jumped 8 percentage points. 0.8 points from May to June. So And black people are kind of, they say last hired, first fired, or kind of the canaries in the coal mine. Mm-hmm. So I think black America is the leading edge of what might be a Trump recession. So we are already, and again, what we normally do with a recession is like, we're like, oh, there's a recession, there's some sort of crisis. Let's borrow money to help us get through. But we've already borrowed, like you said, over $3 trillion with no crisis. So that really puts, kind of ties our hands for a possible Trump recession that may be down the road. So it's, again, terrible policy.
Yeah. I saw a piece you wrote here recently. The title was Best Black Employment States. So you ran a list of the best states for black employment. I wonder whether or not, having said that, there are going to be regional impacts that particular or certain black folk will feel, how might I put it, more acutely.
Oh, yeah. The D.C., Maryland, Virginia area is going to be hit very hard. I mean, the Trump administration, we're already seeing loss of federal jobs in this area. And it's important for people to remember and recognize that the federal government has been the employer most committed to equal opportunity. So the federal government has been essential to the black middle class. So we have a strong black middle class. I'm in Maryland right now, and my office is in Washington, D.C., in this area because of the federal government. So that's about to be devastated by what the Trump administration is doing. But it's also important to remember that the federal government is in every state. It's in every state, every territory.
Right.
So it may be a little concentrated in my area, but there are people in California who work for the federal government, and their jobs are at risk if they haven't already lost them.
Yeah, I am now old enough to say that I can remember the Reagan administration. I was just a baby, but I certainly remember the Reagan years and how difficult those years were. In fact, I tell this story in my memoir that I'd finished Indiana University, or actually before I finished, I came out to L.A. to intern for the late, great L.A. Mayor Tom Bradley. And I had such a great time interning for him, fell in love with L.A. Mayor Bradley, fell in love with the city of L.A., went back to Indiana, and actually before I left, I begged the mayor for a job, and he said, Tavis, I'll cut a deal with you. You go back to Indiana, you finish up your degree, you come back to L.A., I'll have a job for you. I said, okay, Mayor, that was a deal. That I was so much in love with L.A., having left Indiana, I didn't want to go back in the dead of winter. And so we cut a deal, we shook hands, I gave the mayor a hug, I got my little Datsun 280Z, drove back to Indiana, finished up my education there, moved back to L.A. to accept this job that Tom Bradley had offered me once I finished college, got back here, and because of the Reagan era economic malaise, the city had a hiring freeze on that lasted for a long time. So I am back in L.A. ready to take my job, and the mayor apologized and says, Tavis, I can't give you a job right now, even though I promised it, because there's a hiring freeze in the city of L.A. So for a year or so, here I am fumbling and bumbling, trying to make ends meet, eating sardines and crackers, waiting for this city hiring freeze to lift if I could finally commence my work with Tom Bradley. It eventually happened. The rest, as they say, is history. But I remember those years quite poignantly and seriously, because it impacted me in such a very real way. I only raise that because it seems to me that cities are going to take it on the chin again, as they did during the Reagan era. And so many of these cities have African-American mayors. Eric Adams holding on in New York. Karen Bass, who's with us today in our second hour, still mayor here in L.A. Brandon Johnson holding on in Chicago. Other black mayors. I've got 90 seconds to go. How are cities where black people happen to live going to be hit so hard by this bill in the coming years, Austin?
Yeah, well, cities, again, wherever there's federal employment, they're going to be hurt, but also federal support. The administration is cutting support to, we're seeing a sort of racial line in their politics and in their cuts and in the people that they choose to attack and agencies that they choose to restrict. Agencies that they, choose to go to battle with over whatever comes to mind. So for all of those reasons, and again, if the city has a significant low-income population, that population will be losing jobs, will be losing health care, and cities and states have little opportunity. They don't have the flexibility to borrow money like the federal government.
You're right. These municipalities have no alternative funding sources. If the federal government doesn't come through and do its part, there is no alternative funding, and so cities and the people who live in these urban areas are going to be impacted dramatically. I won't discuss this every day for the next 3 years, but I do want to spend just a few days here this week making sure we drill down on how this is going to impact many in this particular audience across the country. And we thank Algernon Austin, the Director of Race and Economic Justice at the Center for Economic and Policy Research, for kicking us off today. Algernon, all the best to you, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. Lawmakers are trying to legislate some sort of outdoor warning system after the death of over 100 people from a Texas flood. Right now, search and rescue crews are looking for the missing. New Orleans rapper Master P says he's hanging up his mic and heading to the basketball courts. The rapper, whose last song was a single he was featured on this year, says his performance at Essence Fest was his last. So what's next? He's now the head coach and president of basketball operations at the University of New Orleans.
If we don't start talking to each other, these disasters cannot be mitigated.
That's Texas State Representative Ken King, who says first responders told him there's no one way to uniformly communicate. One person taken to the hospital in Queens, New York after a crane and a bus collided. Cause under investigation. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can now keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Something is going on with the Dodgers pitching staff. The Dodgers have been outscored 38-7 in their last 4 games. They lost their 4th straight Monday night, a 9-1 loss at Milwaukee. A bases-loaded walk in the bottom of the 9th inning gave the Angels a 6-5 win over Texas. The Angels are 21-20 at home. Ben Shelton, the only African-American in the men's quarterfinals at Wimbledon, will play Yannick Sinner of Italy on Wednesday. Sinner, ranked number 1 in the world, is 5-0 against Shelton. At 22, Shelton is the youngest player in the men's bracket to advance to the quarterfinals at Wimbledon since Andy Roddick in 2004. Roddick was 21. Tough break for the Indiana Pacers and Tyrese Halliburton. The Pacers found out Monday that Halliburton will miss all of next season. Halliburton tore his right Achilles tendon in the first quarter of Game 7 in the NBA Finals on June 22nd. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish. Minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed, with Karen Elliot House, who I'll introduce in just a second in case you just tuned in. It's been all over the news. There was a huge ICE raid here in L.A. yesterday in MacArthur Park near downtown Los Angeles. And the mayor showed up. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass showed up yesterday. And so we will have her on an hour from now, literally at the next hour at this same segment. So an hour from now, Mayor Karen Bass will join us to give us an update on what happened yesterday. A lot of pushing, a lot of shoving. Thankfully, she didn't get arrested yesterday, but it went down yesterday at MacArthur Park. And we'll have LA Mayor Karen Bass on with us an hour from now to tell us what happened yesterday and what happens as we go from here. In this half hour, why would black folk in the U.S. Care about the man who would be king, Mohammed bin Salman, and the transformation of Saudi Arabia? Well, speaking of Pulitzer Prize winners, we got two of them on our show today. This is the first. The Man Who Would Be King is the new book written by Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter, editor, and former publisher of the Wall Street Journal, Karen Elliot House. She wrote the book, and so I'll let Karen answer the why we should care question, but I will tell you that Saudi Arabia recently pledged $25 billion in investment with African nations as part of a broader strategy to strengthen development and economic partnerships with the continent. That's what they say, but I'm pleased to have Karen Elliot House on this program right about now. Karen, how are you today?
I'm fine.
It's good to have you on the program.
It's your day for Karens, right?
Yeah. But you're not one of those Karens, and certainly she isn't one of those Karens.
Yes.
But you're right. I hadn't thought about that. It's my day for Pulitzer Prize winners and my day for Karens. How lucky are we to have the former publisher of the Wall Street Journal, Karen Elliot House, as our first Karen, and again, Karen Bass, our second Karen in hour two. Tell me why you wrote this book. I know from researching for our conversation and, of course, following your work over the years that this issue of Saudi Arabia, this place on the planet, has interested you for quite some time. Tell me why, for starters.
It's interested me because I think the country is important, partly, obviously, for oil, but also for its geographic location, kind of between Asia and Europe, and now because these so-called middle powers like Saudi Arabia and Indonesia and Turkey, I think, are all playing a bigger role in the world as the U.S. and China compete, and Russia is a bit of that circle, but where the U.S. is less the dominant power in the world. Mm-hmm. I did talk to you, if you may not remember, about my first Saudi book. Mm-hmm. On Saudi Arabia. I believe you were in Dallas at the time, mm-hmm. With NPR, I think. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I remember you.
Well, I'm glad you recall, and I'm glad you recall it fondly. So that always helps. You can be remembered in one of two ways. So I prefer to be remembered in kinder and gentler ways, and not harsh ways. Tell me about. I'm glad you use this phrase. These middle powers, these middle power states, as it were. Mm-hmm. Tell me about the role that you think they can play. I'm thinking now about Bibi Netanyahu, of course, being in Washington last night, and open to your thoughts about that as well. I don't know what really came out of that meeting. I haven't seen a whole lot that came out of it. Of course, they're talking about the future of Gaza, and that's always scary when Donald and Bibi get together talking about Gaza. Mm-hmm. But in that context, tell me what role you think these middle power states can and might play in the weeks, months, and years to come.
Excuse me. I think I don't know exactly what came out of the Trump-Netanyahu meeting either, but I think Saudi Arabia is in a position now that Israel and the U.S. have severely weakened Iran to play a much more dominant role in trying to really advance peace in the Middle East. As someone who grew up in Texas and went to church and read the Bible, I think it's hard to be optimistic about peace in the Middle East if you're a Bible reader. There never has been any, but it seems that there is some progress now. Yep. I don't think Netanyahu, as I'm sure you noticed, gave the president a letter nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize, which I think is a bit premature, but hopefully it could become justified at some point.
Yeah, a bit premature is what I would call a generous and charitable read. That is a generous and charitable read. To call it a bit premature. But speaking of which, since you mentioned it, I wanted to go there anyway. So I thank you for the tee up, Karen Elliot House. Here is some sound of that moment yesterday in the White House.
I want to express the appreciation and admiration, not only of all Israelis, but of the Jewish people, and many, many admirers around the world for your leadership of the free world, your leadership of a just cause, and the pursuit of peace and security, which you are leading in many lands, but now especially in the Middle East. We have great opportunities. The President has an extraordinary team, and I think our teams together make an extraordinary combination to meet challenges and seize opportunities. But the President has already realized great opportunities. He forged the Abraham Accords. He's forging peace as we speak in one country and one region after the other. So I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved, and you should get it.
Thank you very much. This I didn't know. Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming from you in particular, this is very meaningful. Thank you very much, baby.
Just pure comedy. Pure comedy. It ain't funny, but it's it's funny to me. It ain't, but it is. I said on this program weeks ago that Barack Obama, who I like personally and voted for twice, Barack Obama did not deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. He basically said so in his speech, trying to make the case for good war. So what's happening with the Nobel Committee? I mean, this is just a nomination. I'm not naive. It's just a nomination, but something is wrong when we live in a world where war presidents are nominated and receive the Nobel Peace Prize. So you drop bombs, you kill people, and that qualifies you for the Peace Prize? I mean, it's a joke, Karen.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I would find it surprising if the Gaza war is going on and if Iran, who I don't think will change its tune at all, it will still seek nuclear capability, and maybe Israel or the U.S. will strike again, that's not the atmosphere in which I think President Trump gets the Nobel Peace Prize. He is obviously hoping that Saudi Arabia will recognize Israel, but the Saudi crown prince does not see himself as someone lining up behind the little Gulf countries that recognized Israel in the Abraham Accords. He sees himself as someone leading the most significant Arab country. And if he recognizes Israel, he will be leading the Islamic world into recognizing Israel. If that should happen, and I think it's still a big if, certainly for the near future, then the president might deserve a peace prize, but not for bombing Iran, even though I was for that personally. I think it is good to set back Iran's nuclear capability, but
yeah, I'm just still trying to square these two things, that you could be the president who is empowering, basically helping to engage genocide in Gaza, and at the same time get nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. It makes a mockery of this award that you could be involved, engaged, funding, providing the weapons to extend genocide on any place on the planet, and at the same time be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. As I said, it is a joke. I digress. More with Karen Elliot House when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. Trustandwill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/radio.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Karen Elliot House, who is the former publisher of the Wall Street Journal, out with a new book called The Man Who Would Be King, Mohammed bin Salman and the Transformation of Saudi Arabia. You mentioned moments ago, Karen, that the Crown Prince sees Saudi Arabia as the most significant Arab country. In a moment like this, what does that mean, that Saudi Arabia is king of the hill in terms of Arab countries?
Well, obviously, he has more money than other countries except, the little Gulf countries, the UAE and Bahrain, but their population is in the hundreds of thousands, and the Saudi population is 30 plus million. So he is the leader of the significant country out there. He is seeking to help the people in the region in North Africa. You mentioned contribution when you started the show here. He wants to. He is a very different Saudi leader. First of all, he's only 39. In my 47 years of going there, the leaders have been old, half-dead men. And they have made a generational change now to the son of one of those men, or they soon will, King Salman's son, Mohammed bin Salman. And he is unlike any other Saudi leader in that he is very happy to stand out, happy to make tough decisions, to put Saudi first, kind of like Trump's Make America Great Again. his motto is Saudi first. So he wants to do what is good for the Saudis. And what is good for the Saudis, in his view, is making the people, the Arab countries of the region, the African countries on the other side of the Red Sea, think kindly about Saudi Arabia. So he is interested in winning friends and influencing people. And he's trying to do that in the Middle East and in the broader region, because he wants to help Africa rise, because he obviously doesn't want a horde of people from impoverished African nations coming across the Red Sea in some fashion and into Saudi Arabia. He would prefer to help them rise.
Yeah. I want to talk in just a moment here about how, in fact, he helps Africa rise, to use your phrase. I mentioned at the top of this conversation that Saudi Arabia has pledged $25 billion toward Africa in the coming years. We'll talk about that before I lose Karen Elliot House at the top of the hour. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found BenefitsCheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. BenefitsCheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Karen Elliot House, who is the former publisher of the Wall Street Journal. We're talking about the modern monarch of Saudi Arabia and her new book, The Man Who Would Be King, Mohammed bin Salman, and the transformation of Saudi Arabia. I am, in these last 4 minutes, curious as to why African Americans in particular should be concerned about the man who would be king, given our conversation of a moment ago, Karen, about the fact that he would like to see Africa rise.
Well, I think African Americans should, like all of us, want to see any people who are poor rise and be more able to live a better lifestyle. So on the whole green climate initiative that the world has going, he is working with African countries and Egypt included to help them because he is one, and his brother, the energy minister, who believe that you can't just tell poor countries that haven't been able yet that are still using wood burning energy to cook their food, that, well, you can't have fossil fuel because we don't want it. It dirties up our air. That they deserve the chance to rise up the economic level too. So he is working on that issue, the climate change issue, and on providing economic support to various countries. I am not the leading expert on which ones he is, but certainly Egypt, that's an Arab country, but there are others. Tunisia, I believe, is another one. But it's a continent that doesn't get enough attention, and I think it is good when anybody pays attention to it. And Saudi Arabia, because of its proximity and its wealth and its self-interest, is doing that.
Yeah. Speaking of rising, I've only got 90 seconds to go. How do you expect Saudi Arabia as a nation to rise as a global power, or a global player, certainly, in the coming years?
Well, he is using his country's means and his determination to be a force to deal with the Americans. He said no to Biden on providing more energy. He is giving money for investment in the U.S. to buy, if you will, influence with Trump. He is the leading source of energy for China. He works with Russia because Russia is a major oil producer, and the two of them tried to set the price to benefit both Saudi Arabia and Russia. So he's playing, if you will, all the great powers, not aligning himself with just one.
Yeah. The book is called The Man Who Would Be King, Mohammed bin Salman, and the Transformation of Saudi Arabia, written by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, former publisher of the Wall Street Journal, Karen Elliot House. The book is available now wherever fine books are sold, as they say, and we will be keeping our eye on Saudi Arabia in the years to come, certainly given this $25 billion pledge it has made to the continent of Africa. Karen, thanks for the book. Thanks for the conversation. Good to have you on the program. All the best to you.
Thank you so much, Tavis.
My pleasure. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. Lawmakers are trying to legislate some sort of outdoor warning system after the death of over 100 people from a Texas flood. Right now, search and rescue crews are looking for the missing. New Orleans rapper Master P says he's hanging up his mic and heading to the basketball courts. The rapper, whose last song was a single he was featured on this year, says his performance at Essence Fest was his last. So what's next? He's now the head coach and president of basketball operations at the University of New Orleans.
we don't start talking to each other, these disasters cannot be mitigated.
That's Texas State Representative Ken King, who says first responders told him there's no one way to uniformly communicate. One person taken to the hospital in Queens, New York after a crane and a bus collided. Cause under investigation. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can now keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Something is going on with the Dodgers pitching staff. The Dodgers have been outscored 38-7 in their last 4 games. They lost their 4th straight Monday night, a 9-1 loss at Milwaukee. A bases-loaded walk in the bottom of the 9th inning gave the Angels a 6-5 win over Texas. The Angels are 21-20 at home.